Do you think that this is the world's reserve currency? Do you think it's the only one? Well, stay tuned and see how knowing this is only one of a handful and what's coming in the future with the Chinese currency is going to impact your retirement, your IRAs, and your 401ks. Hello, my name is Terry Sacka, and I'm along with Dr. Charles Vance, and you're watching The Wealth Transfer.
Terry, good to see you today.
Good to see you, Charles.
Appreciate you joining us, me and you
I
both
know.
on the program.
Well, hey, boy, you bringing me through this. I mean, I know we've been doing this a couple years on Christian television, but, you know, we've been trying to get information. I've even had people say sometimes, well, you've been talking about this for a couple of years and nothing's happened yet. It's not the point. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. What we are talking about, though, since 2008's market crash, we are getting ready to see the biggest adjustment to the global economy, the world's or the U.S. economy, and I'm talking bigger than 2008. And let's not remind you, well, we will, that this is also September is a Shemitah, Jubilee, 4 blood moon all at the same time on the spiritual side. And the cycles of financials and credits in the markets, if you saw the data, you would be stunned that we're looking at a tsunami of a corrective wave.
All of those things you talked about a few minutes ago, the 4 blood moons, the Shemitah, the Jubilee, all of those things are really in the Jewish calendar.
That's
There are
right.
time periods that take place. And even if those things would not happen in an explosion, we know that there are things that switch and change and move continually. We've seen it throughout history. And what we need to be aware of is there are things changing all the time. The name of this show is Wealth Transfer.
That's right.
I've heard it preached all of my life that in the end times there would be a great wealth transfer from those who are lost or not in right relationship with God to those who are in right relationship with God. However, I've discovered that if you're not prepared, it doesn't make any difference who loses it.
Right.
It won't come to you.
No.
You've got to get yourself established, get yourself positioned spiritually and financially so that wealth can come to you.
Yes.
That's what this program is all about, is us getting ourselves positioned properly.
And you know, Charles, we should have been doing it all along. You see, that's where I'm with you on that. It's not about the end time. If we did it all along.
Exactly. And let me add this, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but people need to understand that wealth is moving all of the time.
All the time.
It's constantly moving. Nowhere in the Bible does the Bible say end time wealth transfer. It talks about transfer from the wicked to the righteous.
Yes.
And what the Bible calls righteous, Matthew 25, man, you can read it for yourself sometimes. Who God called good and faithful would be people that, and what he called evil, wicked, slothful. We'd probably call them good people today in the church world. But we're not operating by our standards. We're operating by God's standards.
And the thing is, you know, it says in Proverbs 11:1 that dishonest weight and measures are an abomination. Dishonest weight and measure.
That means disgusting to God.
Rigging scales, printing money, it means it's disgusting. He says honest scales are a delight. Honest scales. Because 1 ounce is 1 ounce. You can't fake it. You can't make it. And here's the crazy part. $100,000 10 years ago, and this is why wealth has been transferring all along. $100,000 10 years ago is maybe in buying power worth about $60,000, $70,000. You've lost substantial buying power. So that's what that's worth today. Now, your statement may say in your retirement account, $100,000. But what can you buy that you couldn't buy 10 years ago? $100,000 in this 10 years ago. $400,000 in buying power today. Wealth has been transferring already. I'm blown away at the financial advisors and bankers who don't get this and make people feel silly about getting into diversifying into this instead of currency or stocks. And I laugh because I say the data. They try to say it's speculative. I say, number one, it's constitutional money. The U.S. dollar means grains of silver. 2, in 10 years, I've significantly outperformed the dollar. So who is really doing the harm, right?
Number 3 is it's real.
It's real.
So, and we've talked about this for a long time, for 2 years,
I know.
3 years. that the importance is us getting things that God made.
Yeah.
Anytime you invest in something God made, I had some people ask me a year or so ago, said, we bought quite a bit of silver. I said, what else do you think we could invest in? I said, water would be good.
Yeah. You know what? I think water, food, obviously silver
land,
because it's liquid.
Anything that God made.
Yeah. And so this is the real point here, because when you understand the reserve currencies, so let's do this. Let's start with the number, we'll go back to 4. Let's show the reserve currency matrix again, or at least 5. Let's do that. Go back to show the reserve currency matrix. This one is what, now look at that. The green is the United States dollar. The blue is the euro. Right now today, the world's reserve currency system done through the IMF bank SDR baskets of drawing rights, which is a global currency setup. That's the breakdown of the world's money reserve status, meaning every country in the world has to have a percentage of these currencies in their bank. Now that's the current one. So as you can see, the dollar is not the reserve currency. The euro is a big part of that, correct? And the other countries fraction them. Now look at the next image. This is where we let off with last week. Look at the red. That's going to be China this October when they submit for this a submission to this basket and become part of it. Now, many people think there'll be a small sliver like the other countries. I absolutely beg to differ, and I believe they're going to eat into the United States market share, U.S. dollar market share, like you can't believe. And they're going to eat into the euro. Why? Europeans are so in debt. Just look at Greece, Portugal, Spain, Ireland, Italy. Oh my gosh. The German bonds are at negative interest rates. Euro are in negative interest rates.
What's negative interest rate?
Meaning they were in a lot of trouble, meaning they're charging you just to put money in the bank.
Wow.
So that's really bad news. The Japanese economy, negative interest rates. So I really believe once the Chinese yuan gets accepted into the IMF basket, they're going to start taking a dominant share. What does that mean for the dollar? It really means the dollar will lose market share, meaning all these that are stored in banks around the world start coming home. When they start coming home, our buying power will get worth less and less. Our ability to buy will be depleted, and that's what this is about, protecting our ability to buy, have quality of life in the future, maintain our churches and ministries, because this reserve status is going to shift,
Terry,
and we need to be aware of it.
Is it when you're talking about the reserve status in those banks, those banks that are in that system, they have to have a percentage of the money that they hold. Well, you can only have 100%.
Right.
So if
that's exactly
if China
right.
comes into this thing, they're going to scoot somebody out. Somebody has got to be moved. There's a percentage that's got to lower.
This is my point. It's either the euro or the U.S. dollar. Definitely the euro is going to sacrifice a chunk of that. And the euro has about 10,000 tons of gold backing. The dollar has about 8,000 tons of gold, even though we're not gold backed, mind you. It's just how much they have in the reserve. And the dollar is 62%. So the dollar is 62%. I think the market share comes out of the dollar and the euro. Now, how fast does it happen? Come October, they get in. My guess over the next 2 years, you start to see a big shift in this move. Now, how do I know? England is the first country to approve Yuan, Chinese currency, denominated bonds. So this is really big. Now let's go right here to fact number 1. I want to just get down some of these facts. Here's fact number 1. China has the largest economy in the world. Then let's go to number 8. China's economy is the largest. We in America have to get a hold of that one. Let's go to the next image, which would be number 8. And let's catch up on this. Right there is the proof of it on the charting. China has become the #1 economy. The green line is us going down, China's going up, and they have just crossed over and taken the market share.
What's it mean by them becoming the #1 economy?
Meaning they produce more, and they export more than the United States. Remember, we have 100 million people out of work. Our manufacturing jobs are gone. Most jobs created today are either government or service industry jobs that pay very, very little money. What can we do about that? How do we prepare and protect ourselves for the future? What are we going to do as a church and an individual to make sure we stay in the right place with our hard-earned wealth? Here's a good start right here.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
Now, I know I'm saying these things, but now let's visually see this in text because we've got to understand what this means. So let's go to number 9. Fact number 2, they already come close to being a reserve currency in 2010. Let's go to 10. The reason we know this is because China became the #1 world's exporter in the world. Let's go to number 11. Fact number 3. The yuan is already unofficially a reserve currency in many, many places. Let's go to 12. Consider this, the following. In December of 2013, the yuan overtook the euro to become the second most used currency in global trade and finance after the U.S. dollar. According to international payments called SWIFT from one to another, which monitors these currency flows, unbelievable. Look at image number 13 and you'll understand. Those are countries around the world that have currency hubs already established to trade the yuan internationally instead of using the dollar to settle up debt. And how do we know it's really moving forward? Let's go to 14 to wrap that kind of segment up. The British Chancellor finally came out and said, and George Osborne, mind you, probably will be the next British Prime Minister after this election is over in for some years, announced at the end of 2014 that the British government will be the first to issue bonds in denominated Chinese yuan. You can take that off.
Terry, if the U.S. or the Chinese economy has trumped the U.S. economy,
yeah.
Does that simply say, in everyday terms, does that mean that they're more important to the world than we are now?
Yes.
As far as...
Well, here's another way of putting that. More important because we are now the world's largest debtor nation. We owe more debt to other people than any country in the history of the world. We used to give people money. The bottom line is, who gives people money? Right? We used to bribe people and give them money and then say, we want you to do this for us. I tell you what, I'm going to come in, I'm going to do this for you, you give us this. We'll rebuild your country, you give us this. We rebuilt Japan after we nuked them, and they bought $1 trillion of our debt. Okay, so there's a reason, there's a reason this is going on. The Chinese don't have the debt like we do. They're communists. If their poor people are poor, they don't give them massive $1 trillion welfare. They probably starve them and kill them. You know, they're different type of people. Who are you kidding? The oppression in China is ferocious. They actually just passed a law. They can't even have crosses on the top of churches in China. They are communists. So we can't underestimate. Don't think, a lot of good people in China, a lot of good people that are Chinese, but the communist government is communist. Communist means no God, because you can't have any superior over us, the body of the elite. That's where the West is heading, towards a hybrid socialism, not so much communism. A lot of Europe already is kind of a hybrid socialism, you don't even realize it. But the point is, they're taking it over. Now, how is this impacting us? Our hard-earned 20 years, 30 years of work and savings and retirement are all in these systems of the world. Dishonest weights and measurements of the dollar. It's dangerous. Always has been. I am an old financial advisor, I'll take on any one of them or bankers that try to make people feel silly for storing wealth in this versus storing wealth in bond stocks or this. They lose the argument every single time. If $100,000 has been stored in this, it's only worth $70,000 today in 10 years. yet it's worth 400,000 in this. It's impossible to make that argument, but they do because those people cannot invest in the real tangible. They don't want you to. They want control. I'm saying the body of Christ, we're getting hammered here. We better get a grip and wake up. Properly position ourselves so we can feed our children, support our communities, church, and have a retirement in the future to fall back on, because this is enormous when China becomes part of the global reserve system,
Terry,
officially now.
Isn't all of the rich, the elite, you call them the elite, aren't all of those people investing in God's products? Those people are buying real estate, they're buying silver and gold, they're telling you not to. I'm talking about the bankers, the wealthy people in the world.
Put it this way. Let me do this.
The
this
wealthy
is great.
people in
I
the
know.
world just don't have money in
No,
a
they
safe
do.
somewhere.
There's people, we have 7-figure clients, man. They have it.
Oh, no, I'm aware of that, but I'm talking about the people that are running the system. If you look at the wealthy people in the world, they own stuff.
Yes.
Tangible stuff.
Yes.
In fact, I've talked to some people that's worth $30 million, wanted to know if they wanted to work an investment with me, and they said, all of my money is already tied up in, and told me some tangible things they were tied up in.
Right.
They didn't have money laying around. They didn't have stacks of cash laying around.
I know.
I'm sure they had a few thousand, $100,000 maybe around. But these are multimillionaires. Their money is invested in tangible products.
Oh,
they're
there's
doing
no doubt.
just the opposite of what they're telling people to do.
Absolutely, because the system, the banks, the brokers, the bankers, stock brokers, all of them want your money in the system. You ever notice
They
why they're
survive
making
off of that.
Yes. You ever notice they have billions and we don't, as the people? But if we, the people, are going to be better positioned for this, we need to be, because what's coming, 2008 was nothing compared to what's coming. Not only do we have a cycle of margin debt, the stock market's peaking, the money printing has blown up. Wait until you see the correction that's coming this time around. We have so many derivatives out there in the banking financial world. Bottom line, what that means is when it starts, 2008 is going to look like elementary school. So if we're not properly positioned, we're going to be in trouble. I mean, let's take a look at this in 15. This is the IMF special drawing rights, is where we want to go with this. This is known as the SDR basket of currencies. That's the actual percentage of currency sitting in that basket. When I say reserve currencies, that's how much actual physical currency bills they're holding on to. You can see that the dollar is about 40-some% of that. Euro is heavy as well. Now, why? Because you can take that off. The reason that's the case, mainly, the IMF is made up of America. I mean, England and America are, the West. So that is the IMF basket of currencies today. Now let's go to the next one. Let's go to 17 and see how this works out. This is the official composition of the SDR reserve in percentage of currencies. As I was showing you earlier, the U.S. holds 62% of all of the reserves basket. That image right there is why we in America believe the U.S. dollar is the dominant reserve currency.
Now, IMF, International
Monetary Fund, which is basically the World Bank in the world banking system. That you can see that's why we think the dollar is dominant. And then, of course, the blue is euro. The rest of those little countries, Japan, England, they're very, very small. So you can take that off. And let's try to understand from this point of view. The SWIFT global payments, what that really means. Countries, when they buy countries and goods from other countries, corporations do business with corporations, they do what they call SWIFT payment. I mean, it goes through a bank to another bank, and the SWIFT is a way that they kind of identify and control for quality purposes. Here are the real payments globally that are made. Show that image out. That's 18. Watch this breakup. The green is your U.S. dollar, the red is British pound, the blue is euro. So you can see the English pick up a lot of the SWIFT. A lot of money flows through England, euro, and America. So now that's what that is. Now you can pull this down. We have a couple theories. The yellow was gold, by the way, but we have a couple theories. In the world system today, China is getting ready to come October. When they do, the market share they're going to take from American and British and euro currency movements is going to be big. We're going to lose, just like Charles said, there's only so many out of 100. What does that mean for this? It means our buying power is going to get worse. Our retirements, our IRAs and 401ks are going to get marginalized. We will not have the same ability to buy as we did today or even 10 years ago. So how do we get started in protecting, diversifying our families, our retirement, and our future? Here's some ways you can.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
Now this next image is going to really shock you. World GDP, meaning gross domestic product, meaning what we produce as a nation, what we produce. And what we produce basically is how we profit, how we have then money to spend on infrastructure, on welfare programs, on education programs and such. What we produce. Let's look at this next image. This would be 19. This is the world's GDP. Who produces what? The green is and are the SDR countries. SDR countries, remember those only 5 countries there, England, United States, the Euro area, UK, Japan. The green, we only make up a small portion of the world's economy. See, this is huge to understand. The yellow is the rest of the world. The rest of the world, all the other small countries around the world make up half of the world's money flow and economies. The red is China. Look at how big China is to the entire SDR country basket. This is really, really important to understand. Let's break that down. Take that off and let me show you this way. In the world, the United States only, and it's hard to believe, but this is why this is vital to get. Our buying power is going to change quickly here in the future. The United States is only 16% of the world's economy. You wouldn't believe that. I know. It's the real number. The European area is only 12%. And then,
now,
of course, you have Japan.
Is that because of goods and services coming out of the United States or coming out of Europe?
Yes.
So you're saying that 48% of the goods and services that are purchased by other countries are coming out of countries besides us?
Absolutely. That's right. We think we're this world's dominant picture. So why I'm trying to paint that picture, Charles, is because we in America are sitting back, we're happy, we've been very prosperous, don't get me wrong. But the world is changing rapidly, and most of the stuff is not in our country. Mexico, you name it, it's other countries.
Well, you can pick up just about anything, and you hardly ever see made or manufactured in the USA.
Because they trade with other countries. They don't trade to us.
Right.
Like maybe Vietnam doesn't trade to the U.S.
I got you. So the U.S. stuff is
yeah,
going
Bangladesh
somewhere. We're not
doesn't
buying our own stuff.
Bangladesh doesn't sell stuff to us, or once in a while we see stuff, right? I love seeing something from other than China.
Yeah.
But mostly because we don't see it, because they're giving it to somebody else.
Okay.
They're not giving it to us. We buy everything from China. That's why this whole Chinese thing, I'm kind of thinking it's all engineered anyway for the big global shift to a 10-currency system. But all right, that's a whole other story. But if Euro, so U.S. is 16%, Euro 12, Japan is only 4% of the world's economy. And yet we think Japan is huge, right?
Did they used to be bigger than they are?
Yeah, but they...
Because, I mean, you'd see a lot of technology.
They're a small island. We see the technology because, remember, we blew them into Oblivion.
Oh, and then we rebuilt them.
We rebuilt them, and they gave us all the goods. So there was a good relationship there. Now, China is 16.31%. They're larger than the United States economy. That's why they've surpassed us. Why it's so important for our future to get ready for this global shift that's coming. The rest of the world, as I said, is 48%. Now, this is really important because Our future depends on this understanding. We are getting ready to change. Things are shifting, and our dominance is getting right. Now, our military dominance is going to stay. I believe the elites will use that as the military for the future. But us, we the people right now, most of us watching, that have the barbecues, that look after our neighbors, that mow our lawns, we are the ones who are going to sacrifice. My guess, the whole Marxist, socialist mindset of a big part of our country is to take from those who have. Now, I'm not talking the billionaires, millionaires. I'm talking people that just make a nice living. Bring them down and take the poor and the illegal alien in them and bring them up. Equalize them all for having nothing. Then they have to rely on government for everything. Once that happens, we are enslaved to the central system. I'm saying we in the body of Christ better wake up, be outside the system in our understanding of protecting our assets, get out of and away from this toxic, polluted Federal Reserve note, and get into what God said was money, which was silver. Grains of silver is the actual name of a U.S. dollar. Very important to get, because what's going to happen is we want to get in next week for this mainly. We're going to start showing you why. All the stuff we just showed you for the reserve currency, all the stuff we explained about the Asian bank and China coming in as reserve. How do I know and feel comfortable enough to say this is going to hurt us badly? Wait until you see over the next couple weeks we get into the U.S. real economic data. When you see that, you're going to understand how absolutely paramount it is to be properly diversified. And let me just say for now, if you haven't made Jesus Christ the center of your life, ask Him in your heart. That truth shall set you free. God bless you.
You've been watching Wealth Transfer. My name is Charles Vance. I'm along with Chief Strategist Terry Sacka. You can watch these programs on demand, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on your personal computer, your smartphone, or your tablet by going to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. We're going to be back next week, same place, the same time. We'll see you here for the Wealth Transfer.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.